I have been thinking about how to make this video for over a month now. And I'm just gonna stop overthinking it and just be honest. And this isn't scripted, this isn't anything. I'm just making the video and I'm gonna be honest with you guys and transparent, and let's talk about it. So, most of the internet knows by now that I was charged with a felony. There is so much to unpack with this entire situation. So buckle up, this might be a super long video. So after I moved back to Illinois to my parents' house from Florida, I got a call from Broward Police Department, and I thought it was something regarding, Noah's case or something like that. But they informed me that there was a warrant out for my arrest, and I started having like a full body panic attack. I asked them on what charge, and they told me lewd and lascivious. I believe that's how you say it. And I was like, oh, like, is that a misdemeanor? And they said, no, it's a felony. So I was freaking out, like, genuinely so scared. Didn't know what was going to happen. But I knew that, there was a warrant out for my arrest. So the incident that occurred that is in question was regarding an incident that happened back at my apartment in Fort Lauderdale in April. At the time, my mental health was terrible. I was drinking a lot to try and numb the pain of everything that was going on in my life, one of which was that my daughter wasn't in Florida at the time. She was in Illinois with my parents because of a lot of things that were going on with Noah. And being away from her broke my heart every single day. It was almost unbearable. Also, none of this is an excuse. I'm just trying to give you guys kind of like where my mind was at the time when all this happened. So during this time, I really did not have a good caregiving situation. Selena was getting married, so she was really busy with that. I had another caregiver, and she wasn't always available. So there were a lot of times that I would go without care, and with having my disease, that can be very stressful, not only mentally, but also, harmfully physically. And I just felt really hopeless at this time. It was hard to even get my basic needs met during this time. So I was drunk one night, came home to my apartment. I knew I wasn't going to have a caregiver to help me to bed that night. So I saw someone in my elevator in my building, and I asked them if they could help me. And they said yes. And obviously, we all know this is the incident where everyone's talking about the 13-year-old. At the time, I did not know his age. I knew he was probably a teenager. But with being disabled, my intentions were purely caregiving. There was no sexual motivation whatsoever. As being a disabled person that's 31 years old, I have had a lot of strangers help me, which obviously isn't the most safe thing, but sometimes you have to do what you have to do to get taken care of. And I realized this was a huge mistake on my part, and I wasn't really thinking about the repercussions it would have. The person, he was very kind to me, said he would help me, and basically at that point I didn't have hair that day, so I was essentially sitting in pee. So I asked him to put me in a bathtub. So he did take off my dress and he put me in the bathtub. I told this to the police. This is all public record as well. And to me, it wasn't weird because at the time, one, I was drunk and all I really wanted was to get like pee off of me. And two, to me, caregiving is clinical. It isn't inherently sexual to see a naked body. But obviously, this kid was younger, and it was not a very good decision on my part, obviously. So he did not touch me or anything. He just took off my dress, put me in the bathtub, and I just sat there, like, let my body, like, kind of rinse off for a minute. And yeah, essentially, he helped me do some stuff around the house a little bit, and I asked him to put me in my bed with my BiPAP on, and he did. He was very kind. At that point, his mom had been calling, and he wasn't really answering, so I was like, no, just answer. You could tell her my unit number, have her come down, and I just want to thank her for you helping me in this really, really hard time that I'm going through right now with the lack of care. At that point, I was already in my bed, and his mom did come down when I was in my bed, so I didn't even see her or anything in her face. But she just started yelling at me, and she was very, very upset. That is when the next day, the police showed up to my apartment, questioned me. I told them the truth. I told them everything. And at that point, it was very, very scary because I, was basically accused of being a predator. And everyone online, this is everywhere. This is on TikTok. This is on Facebook. Everyone's been posting about it. And I'm not a predator. Anyone that knows me in my real life knows I'm not a predator. Anyways, I think the kid, don't even remember his name. That was it. And then, yeah, like I said, 2 months ago, whatever, a month and a half, you guys know the timeline's better than me. I got a call about my warrant, flew to Florida with some good friends of mine that were so supportive, and I essentially had to go in to turn myself in to get arrested, to get rid of the warrant. You have to do that, and then get bonded out. So I went there to do that. Scariest thing in my life. I didn't end up going to jail or getting processed the traditional way because they weren't equipped to handle someone with my type of disability. Although my attorneys did kind of give them a lot of prior information about what my needs would be during this whole processing through the jail. But when I got there, they were not equipped or ready to handle that. So I ended up getting fingerprinted right in the courtroom. Yeah, just 37 minutes. Okay, this is part 2 of talking about my felony charges. So after I hired my attorney, I was informed that I had to go to Florida to go to a surrender hearing. So that's where I would surrender myself. I would get processed through the jail, and then I would get bailed out. So I flew there. It was the scariest thing I ever did. I went into the courtroom to essentially surrender myself. And it was the most surreal experience of my entire life. Super humbling. Just a situation I never, ever want to find myself in ever again. It was really just tremendously surreal. So like I said in my previous video, they were unable to process me and take me to the jail because of my disability. They asked me if I was able to get on my wheelchair, if I was able to get into a car. Obviously, I can't do any of those things, which they were aware of. So I was fingerprinted in the courtroom. And essentially, when I went in the courtroom, there was my attorneys and then the prosecutor going back and forth with officers in the courtroom, and I'm just sitting there with my 2 friends, just shaking in my boots, literally shitting my pants. My attorneys had told me that to go to jail, there was going to be someone there with me the entire time if I needed anything. Obviously, I'm assuming they would be under a ton of liability if anything medically were to happen to me, if I was in custody. So that was the plan. So finally they called my docket, and the judge was in there, and the judge he was an incredible man. Obviously I sat in the courtroom for probably over a dozen other cases before mine got called. And like I said, it was just incredibly humbling and surreal to be in that type of presence and atmosphere. So anyways, basically, the officers, my attorney, and then prosecutor going all back and forth in the courtroom, discussing kind of what they're going to do with me, since it seems like they're unable to take me to jail. Honestly, I think everyone in that courtroom, when they found out I was the defendant, because I was sitting in the back of the courtroom, because that's where there was a space for my wheelchair. I think when everyone in there found out that I was the defendant, everyone was like, what in the hell is this woman doing here? So then finally my docket got called, and I was having like a panic attack. I was shaking, and Selena was rubbing my back, and I was having a panic attack. And just to hear your name called by a judge and like case number on felony charges, super, super, super intimidating and scary. Essentially, because of all the issues they were having with me going to the jail, the entire time they were talking about my case, it was sidebarred between the judge, my attorney, and the prosecutor. So I couldn't really hear everything that was said at all. I actually couldn't hear anything that they were saying. But that's when my attorney came over after they were done for about, like, it seemed like a lifetime that they were talking. And my attorney finally came and said, you're not going to jail today. They just don't have the resources to be able to do that. So they're just going to fingerprint you. So they only were able to fingerprint my left hand, because my right hand, like, is very, very disabled. And I told them my friend could help me, like, fingerprint my right hand, but they were like, no. And that's when a plea deal was brought up and introduced right then. My attorney said it looks like, they're going to be offering a plea deal, and she gave me a gist of what it might look like. And at this point, I'm just like, I feel like I'm out of my body. It was like an out of body experience. I was like, I don't know what to do. Is this the right thing to do? She told me it looks like they're gonna give me a plea deal of a misdemeanor. And I'm like, oh, okay, like, yeah, I just took the advice of my attorneys. And yeah, the judge ordered that I was to be released in my archivist, and that my next hearing, I could attend on Zoom, which was the next hearing, which was maybe like a week ago, was for my plea. And so my plea was set into motion, and accepted by the judge, and I attended that hearing on Zoom. And so I officially was charged with a misdemeanor, and I'm currently on probation. I definitely made a huge mistake, and I learned a lot from this entire experience, and I just hope that, throughout this, I learned something. I can grow to be a better human being. And ta-da! I know that me making these videos, there's going to be people in my comments, like there has been for the past months and months since even this incident came out online, before any of my arrests or charges or anything. So I'm just not really expecting anything too much to come of these videos. Just wanted to kind of put my voice to the narrative, I guess. And yeah, I'm just gonna try and do better and learn and grow, and just try to keep being the best mom I can for my daughter.